Somebody said the Kung Lao's picture looks like a high school photo, and I can't unsee it now. Alright, Bonehawk, so this video is all about Mortal Kombat 1. They released some bios for some characters today, which adds a lot of context and a lot of teases. So I wanted to kind of go over them with you, and I wanted to ask what your opinion on these characters. Where do you kind of see their stories going? What's your guesses on what's going to happen with them? This is all really fun stuff for me. I love this kind of stuff leading up to the game's release. So, with that being said, we're starting with our first character, which is not who I intended. But I guess we're going with it. Johnny Cage.
Accept your death.
Alright, so his reads, like many stars before him, Johnny became addicted to his fame. He came to measure his self-worth by his fans' adoration and their praise of him on social media. But with his star now fading, Johnny is fighting an uphill battle to remain relevant. He joins Liu Kang's Earthrealm champions, hoping that will provide his career and his fame a desperately needed boost. So, this sounds a lot like classic MK1 Johnny Cage, you know? He just thinks he's on this... Except he's kind of aware now here, right? Like, he's self-aware of what he's doing, he understands what he's joining, apparently, this time around. But he's not doing it for the noblest of reasons. He's doing it to further the Cage name, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of my theory, and I think Johnny Cage isn't really going to stray far from the path of what he usually is. I think he's just going to stay as, like, the comic relief type character, you know? So, maybe we see a darker and grittier version of Johnny this time around, but I would be surprised, pleasantly, mind you, but I don't expect him to be anything different than what he has been. Okay, so we got our boy Kenny here. Once one of ancient Japan's most honored families, the Takahashis were decimated in battle. They lost everything, including the emblem of their power, the revered sword, Sento. Those who survived joined the Bakudo. Am I pronouncing that right? A predecessor of the Yakuza. Am I pronouncing that right? For its protection. 5 centuries later, Kenshi is raised on the stories of his ancient family's exploits. Detesting his corrupt Yakuza life, he pines to free the Takahashis from the Yakuza's grasp and restore their name. But for his family to follow him, Kenshi must fight to prove that he can lead. His first battle is to find and retrieve Sento, which we saw in the trailer is owned by Johnny Cage. I've talked about this before, but I don't know why Johnny Cage has this. Is it just like some shiny thing that he's like, hey, I have a lot of money and I want that, give me that, you know? Because that's a very Johnny Cage thing to do. One also thing that I'm curious about our boy Kenny here is, in the trailer he's not blind. He's clearly not blind, but I mean, you just look to the left of me here, and he's very much so got a blindfold on, unless he's trying to make some sort of a fashion statement. I think in this game we see kind of how he became blind, but it's going to have a different story than we're used to, because if my memory is correct, he was blinded by going to find his sword in a kind of an old tomb or something, and then all the souls that escaped from it blinded him. So I mean, this could still kind of be the path they go down with him, you know, maybe once he gets the sword and he holds the sword and then it blinds him, you know, that kind of a thing, you know? I don't know. Kenshi is just such an intriguing character at this point, especially with like the kind of backstory they've given him here. So, also kind of an interesting change for Liu Kang to make, because like obviously Liu Kang apparently built this whole timeline. So like, just like, nah, Kenshi, your family's, you got some shit you're gonna have to work out there. So, all right, Kitana, Kityana, more like it, because she's so freaking. I'm just kidding. Kitana's cool. Kitana has one purpose in life: to aid and protect her older sister, Melina, as she prepares to rule Outworld one day. The steady-handed Kitana ignore the calls of those who advocate that she should replace her impulsive sister as heir. Instead, Kitana will defend the realm by fighting to make Melina the best empress possible. She will also fight to hide the dark secret that could end her sister's reign before it begins. So we're going to get into this one next, because I'm excited to read about Melina. I haven't read these. I'm reading these for the first time, by the way. So I'm excited to get into the whole Melina's kind of disease or whatever she has. So it's interesting because the official Mortal Kombat Twitter did tweet out something saying that they were in Edenia. I went to find it today and I could not find it. So whether that was a red herring or maybe someone made a mistake, I'm not really sure, but I'm like 99.9% sure it wasn't just a fever dream. I did see it. But it seems like they're kind of rolling that back in its Outworld now, which doesn't look very Outworldish as we've known it in the past. But again, new timeline, time stuff, you know, all that kind of stuff. So who knows? It's very pretty either way. And it sounds like Kitana's very much kind of like her MK2 self, where she's just kind of like, serve the ruler, you know, like, yeah, that's my thing, you know. But also caring sister, which is kind of cool. It's cool to see that side of her, because we saw a little bit of like her kind of family side with the Sindel thing in Aftermath. So it'd be kind of similar to see something like that with her sister. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Okay, we're getting into the juicy bits. Melina, born mere seconds ahead of her twin sister. Melina is the rightful heir to Outworld's throne. But even so, there are those who distrust Melina's impulsiveness. They whisper that Kitana, with her steadier hand, should replace Melina as heir to the throne. As Melina fights for legitimacy, she hides a horrible secret. She is infected with the dreaded and lethal Tarkat disease. Were her affliction found out, Melina would be forced into battle to save her throne. So the Tarkatans are a disease in this game. I had kind of thought that that was the case, but now they've kind of confirmed it here. And also they've confirmed that Melina was not created in a little test tube. She wasn't a little test tube baby. She was actually born alongside Melina, twin sisters. Although very different styles, you know. Kitana was like the preppy one, and Melina was like, you know, the hangout at Hot Topic after school kind of one. But yeah, either way, I'm excited. This is probably the first time I've actually been excited for anything Melina. She's just never really done it for me, but this time around, I'm excited to see how this all plays out, and if she actually gets to her throne on the Outworld. And who are their parents? Why is nobody asking this? Where are the parents? Come on now. Okay, I had to compose myself a little bit after this one. Kung Lao, born and raised in the village of Fenjiang. Kung Lao has spent his life toiling in the fields. It has been an honorable life, if not a glorious one. Kung Lao's greatest fear is that his life will amount to nothing. He prays fervently. I'm getting exposed today. That will be called to do something bigger. His prayers are answered when he is asked to join the champions of Earthrealm. As a warrior fighting for its honor, Kung Lao knows that his victories will be long remembered. So far standard Kung Lao stuff, other than like he was a farmer for a bit there, and I was like, I'm not going to make any sort of a history doing this. So he joins the Earthrealm champions, and yeah, the rest is history. Gets a cool hat. Again, probably the character I'm least excited about here. Okay, this was the character that I actually intended to start with, but you know, things happen. I had no control. I had absolutely no control over that happening. Anyways, having won control of the Hourglass, Liu Kang restarted history. He neutralized the threats and dangers that had come before, crafting a new era in which all beings would have the opportunity to find peace. But that peace is now threatened by an enemy that Liu Kang could never have anticipated. It will take all of his wisdom and experience to save not only Earthrealm, but all of reality. So they're kind of hinting at like a big bad here, right? Like, but they're not really saying who it is. It's someone who he could not have expected. Shang Tsung feels like it's a little bit too... like that's too easy, right? Even though they showed it in the trailer, just seems like that would be too easy. I don't know. I would guess it's going to be some sort of either... I can't see the big bad being a new character. I think it's something along the lines of Onaga or something like that. Or maybe Sub-Zero? I don't know. I don't know. I have not a clue. But this is such a crazy hint that I'm excited for it. You got me, NetherRealm. You got me. Alright, my boy Raiden. In the village of Fengjuan... I'm pretty sure I just pronounced that differently than the first time. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at this. Raiden was known for his kindness and his charity. He was happy to spend his days tending to the fields as well to his friends and family. So when he is asked to leave and become one of Earthrealm's champions, Raiden hesitates. But he soon realizes that to best serve his village, he must join them. As threats to Earthrealm mount, Raiden must mature into the great warrior that Liu Kang knows he can be. That's so interesting, seeing like that kind of switch, you know, like now he's in Liu Kang's position, and Liu Kang's in his old position, and now we have this young Raiden who seems to be pretty eager and a go-getter, And I kind of really don't see him doing much other than just being like this game's version of the old Liu Kang. So kind of just like a reskin of Liu Kang with lightning powers instead of, you know, like lightning god powers or whatever. So that's my guess. Just another character who it just isn't really exciting me here, you know. These are all base roster characters for the most part, and a lot of them just aren't doing it for me yet. I want to see somebody cool, somebody different. Alright, next up, Lin Kuei Grandmaster. As a Lin Kuei's Grandmaster, I literally just said that, Sub-Zero leads his ancient warrior clan in the defense of Earthrealm from external threats. For centuries, it has been their solemn task. But Earthrealm hasn't been threatened in generations, and Sub-Zero sees no point in limiting his clan to preparing for dangers that may never come. Under the leadership, the Lin Kuei will come out of the shadows and fight for its place as one of Earthrealm's great nations. So, interesting. Sub-Zero's kind of a separatist here, you know, wants to create his own little mini Earthrealm within Earthrealm kind of idea. Maybe have himself as the president or the prime minister, President Sub-Zero, you know. So this is one that I actually, Broski, who was on the podcast the other day, has immense knowledge of Sub-Zero, just huge Sub-Zero fan of all the lore and all the stuff. Came up with a really interesting theory that Bihan is a lot, pardon the pun, but colder than his brother is. More willing to kind of use cryomancy and stuff. You know, it's both his arms and his legs get frozen and stuff like that. So, and he's also like a little bit darker in this. Like he almost seems like brooding. One scene that was brought up was in the trailer when Liu Kang shows up and Kuai Liang. I shouldn't say that yet. We don't know that yet. Scorpion he kind of does the bow, and Bihan kind of looks at him in disgust, like, why are you doing that? Why are you showing your weakness? You know, so it's possible that maybe there's like a split off here. That maybe the two brothers maybe kind of clash at some point, and maybe one goes off to make their clan, and, you know, Bihan stays with the Lin Kuei. It sounded like a good theory to me. To be honest, of all the characters, Sub-Zero, which is weird to me, is the one that I'm kind of the most excited about for backstory. So it's, I don't know. Again, we'll have to see what happens, but that's my theory. I'm sure you have one too. Let me know. I'm curious. I want to know. And last, but certainly not least, Scorpion. Like his cherished father, Scorpion is dedicated to the Lin Kuei and his defense of Earthrealm. When his father died, Scorpion was bereft, though he took pride in knowing that his brother Sub-Zero would succeed their father as the Lin Kuei's Grandmaster. But Sub-Zero's unprecedented moves to cast off the Lin Kuei's traditional duties have frozen Scorpion's enthusiasm. He feared that he may one day have to battle his brother for control of the Lin Kuei's legacy. So, another theory that was brought forth to me today. Are you ready for this? Sub-Zero actually killed their father so that he could get control over the Lin Kuei. At some point in time, Scorpion finds this out and is like, yo, what the fuck? And that's the catalyst for them fighting it out and splitting apart. And Scorpion being like, no, there's no longer my place in the Lin Kuei with all this corrupt business that you're doing. Shakes fist at air, you know? It's a good theory. I like it. And that's all the character bios that they released today. A little blurb about what I kind of think about them, where they might be going, story-wise. Again, let me know what you think each character is going to be doing going forward. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.